Irelia. This is Sebastian versus Mark. Two great players in our area that are ready to fight it. Actually, no, it's a double Draven match. Dang, Sebastian was a huge believer in the Irelia deck. He played it at his at the regional, and now he got beat down by too many. And here we go. Okay, so it looks like what is it called? Sebastian is playing mid-range Draven, easily tellable by the Reaver's Row, a common start for that deck. And then it looks like Mark is playing Miracle Draven due to the Zon Warren start. That's oftentimes the easiest way to tell what they are playing. And a Treasure Hunter coming out for Sebastian, one of the premier starts. Basically, with this Reaver's Row, he's able to make 2 gold, usually. And the Miracle deck starting off with a stacked deck, looking for the top 3. Oftentimes, this Miracle Detonate deck doesn't have the best early games, but it sets up to where it can explode on turn 3 or 4 with a large amount of might. So let's see here. Is it going to be a Traveling Merchant? No, it is a Pack of Wonders. Pack of Wonders is a new card, not necessarily a new card, but a new card for these Draven decks being able to be popped by something like Detonate to give them 3 draws. And a Treasure Hunter scoring for Sebastian into this Reaver's Row. Just like I said, this Reaver's Row plus Treasure Hunter combo is so powerful in this Draven deck. And a non-accelerated Kaisa. I'm a big fan of not accelerating Kaisa because I'm not going to lie, I don't like deramping. I love being at 6 to 8 mana, but here we go. Mark is popping off using Detonate. If you don't know what Detonate does, it pops a gear, and that gear's controller gets to draw 3.
Oh,
but,
in mid-range Draven, that's interesting.
I don't know. Mark is playing Miracle, and Alan is playing, not Alan, Sebastian is playing mid-range.
That's still interesting in Miracle Draven too. I haven't seen that in too many lists. I know that any player likes it, but it's cool to see.
Oh,
Mark play
that's the new in vogue
thing?
list is Detonate plus Treasure Trove. It was real popular amongst people at the regional, but Michael didn't go to it.
Yeah, I'm not
that's
lucky enough.
That's why I didn't know. Lucky or skilled, but Mark is using the effect of Called Shot plus a seal to see what his next couple of draws are, sculpting it to where he needs to set up a big turn here. Oftentimes, this mid-range Draven deck just wants to curve out and wins through sheer card advantage. This Miracle deck operates on a different angle. It's just trying to summon a bunch of might on one big turn. So what often you're going to see is this Draven, this mid-range Draven deck is going to get an early lead because it plays the board faster. But if Mark is ever able to explode and make these gigantic turns, then slowly and slowly Mark will be able to recoup this point deficit. Ooh, and a Treasure Hunter to move the a Tide Turner to move the Treasure Hunter to get even more gold. Sebastian is basically using this Treasure Hunter on all cylinders right now, getting a lot of gold. Oftentimes, this Draven deck wins because its card quality is so strong, and something so simple as just getting multiple copies of gold, stopping you from deramping, turns this deck that is kind of just a simple mid-range +1 advantage deck into a huge, obnoxious threat, having huge, large amounts of mana. Being able to Falling Star, Sebastian throws it out, dealing 6 damage to this Draven, basically saying, Mark, I'm not going to let you have any creatures on board, and right now, he is pressing his advantage as much as possible, even including summoning a Noxus Hopeful.
Yeah, it's really hard to punish this tap out right now when you have nothing on the board as a Miracle. Miracle isn't known for killing things with spells. It's really known for winning in combats. Interesting choice to toss away the Forerunner, though. I think the Forerunner is kind of good, but it does really lose to Rebuke. But you're forcing your opponent to rebuke that. You're so ahead that getting that Forerunner ready to go might be nice, but the rest of his hand is probably just better tempo for him.
Yeah, I feel like what Sebastian wants to do is every turn just always make sure there's 2 units in the base to just basically threaten this double conquer. oftentimes in Riftbound, you have to figure out who is the aggressor and who is the controller in this matchup.
Bushwhack.
And Sebastian has to be the aggressor. But here you go. Mark needs to stem the bleeding by just being able to summon some of these accelerated units. What is he going to summon here?
You're in trouble when you have to Bushwhack right now. Unless you have, like Ezreal called shot, summon Rasta.
I like Ezreal double battering ram maybe, if that is an option here. Oh, he doesn't.
We can Ezreal one battering.
Yeah,
ram.
he doesn't have enough. I thought he had one more floating mana, so that would be an option here. So now
no Ezreal.
We have a lot of different things we can do, but Mark using these called shots, oftentimes called shots wants to be used in conjunction with multiple gold or multiple seals or the Ezreal ability, but Mark having to pay the fair cost of this Draven and summoning basically an accelerated Rasa. The issue with this Rasa here is that Sebastian is already showing 8 might on board, and Sebastian is playing the mid-range version, so he has access to things like Spinning Axe. Oftentimes, these Miracle decks maybe play 1 copy to 0 copies of Spinning Axe because that's not its game plan. It's not trying to nickel and dime through battle phases like this mid-range deck is trying to do. And here is a battering ram coming in accelerated, and what's awesome about these units is they're big, but more importantly, because they won combats, they get to draw.
And we get to save our battering ram on the Reaver's Row for later. 1 mana. Another battering ram? Oh, cool.
Another battering ram.
And a hidden.
And I'm not going to
another hidden.
And he's going in. He's going all in.
0 mana.
He's
a madman.
I do. Obviously, this is a crazy move, but it's one of those things where Mark needs to hold. Mark needs to get these points because right now, Sebastian, if Mark didn't play defensive like this, Sebastian could definitely just play it slow and then eventually just win. Now it's on Sebastian to try to break this hold. Maybe he can afford to not do anything this turn because he has a small lead, but
ooh, he has his own fight or flight. Fight or flighting out a unit's kind of cool because then the Rasa, we could shove 2 people into Rasa, bait his fight or flight, and then fight or flight out the Rasa
to guarantee the draw.
Oh, because he'll probably if we push in Kaisa and a 2-drop, no, we just want to check for it. It's fine. We'll just check. It's probably a fight or flight in there anyway. Yeah. We'll trade our fight or flight for that. There's no need to do anything fancy.
Just draw your cards.
Draw 2, discard 1, draw another. So we get to see 3 cards deep right now.
Discard another Treasure Hunter. Treasure Hunter has already paid dividends right now.
He drew 2. He draws 1 more, right? Off the Kaisa Conquer and the Draven.
There was no combat.
Oh, because you need the minion.
Yep.
Oh, that could have been the reason why you want to attack with the Rasa in there. Because you
To get
attack
the
with the
extra draw.
Rasa and the 2-drop. He fight or flights your 2-drop to kill your Kaisa, and then you get the fight or flight, hits Rasa back, get the extra draw. You're right. There was no guy in there.
But let's see what Sebastian is doing here. A fat hold from this double battering ram is so powerful. And the thing about it is, even if Sebastian kind of fights this bottom battlefield, Mark can do something like run away with the Reaver's Row and fight or flight his own creature to basically guarantee that it is living. And that here it is. The gambit is paying off. Mark is able to hold Mark is able to hold 1 battlefield and rush both in to try to win this fight with 2 mana up. If Mark has something like a hard bargain here, it would actually be so good for him right now. But let's see. It is 6-11. Not a lot of things can go right for Sebastian here unless he has something like fight or fight plus an axe. But let's find out what he has.
1 fight or flight is cool because you just push the Rasa back.
Win the fight there, draw a card. Yeah,
even if he hard bargains, we pay for it. It's like whatever. It's on his turn. Like we have the mana to tap, which is cool. Oh, we're just going to die here.
And that is not where Sebastian wants to be. And will Mark go ahead and slowly make a comeback here?
I actually cannot believe he went to 0 and then he's like getting his footing now.
He saw the gambit. It had to pay off. But let's see. If he can hide another card, I'm super down.
God, if he plays a Rasa right now, double gear, tap that, play a Rasa. Now for the rest of the game, he can just pay for power. Pay for the hidden, yeah, that's fine. Draven and purple in general is one of these decks where Fight or Flight is just such a crazy card because you can save your own units, push back your opponent's unit, but in these miracle decks, you are running the gear, that gives you the ability to play them for free. Everyone's Teemo.
Everyone does what Teemo does, but maybe a bit better. Who knows?
Spinning Axe, Spinning Axe. Honestly, just to get Fight or Flighted, though. But we do have a hard bargain. Do we hard bargain this? I think we do. Yeah, we hard bargain that. Take them both out. Get our combat victory. Draw a card. And then we get to discard a card, draw a card.
And double spinning axe is just a crazy, crazy use of these gold.
Okay, going back to Mark. Play Ezreal. Now that we have our 3 gears out, we can just do anything we want that costs power for free. We have 3 free chances a turn to pay for something with power. I think all seals eventually will be broken given their time period, depending on the champ. Purple is just the best one now at using it because Ross and Ezreal just cost power.
Also, purple has a bunch of good hit-ins, too. You know what I mean? There's just so many ways for you to use that one power.
Eventually, everyone will have its time in the sun, I think.
Orange seal stonks, baby. I have 3 orange seals. I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
One day, they'll be worth
They'll be worth more than $8.
Yeah.
And here we go. Off the back of no mana, Mark is able to have a big, big board here. Sebastian is at 6 right now. So if he's able to just kind of set up a double conquer next turn,
it's going to
be
those
good.
Spinning axes. It's really bad if we lose them. But yeah, so like you were saying, setting up a double conquer is for sure the move. He does have a rebuke.
And that rebuke, honestly, it might be the nail in the coffin here. Being able to just push off 6 might off the board here. He already kind of matches Mark's might already. So
he played the Draven that turn. He could have readied the Darius and attacked in.
Yeah, he could have attacked.
It's in the Reaver's Row.
It is in the Reaver's Row.
He could have just killed the Ross in the Reaver's Row.
Scored a point. Yeah, I can see that.
If anything goes wrong, he has the rebuke. He could have just rebuked the Rasa and then pulled the Darius back. But a safer play would be to not do that and to make sure we can use our rebuke on our final push here. So while we do get an extra card draw and take out a Rasa, we want to be a little safer next turn.
Mark right now is trying to set up a big defense turn. He can't let Sebastian get this double conquer here. Most likely, he is going to just make a fat stack on one battlefield here.
Sebastian has so much mana to work with next round, though. which is going to be the saving grace, but he doesn't have too many cards to work with, so the mana is not that important.
Mark is probably looking for one more secret here, but it's real scary. How much might does he have? He has 12, 17, 20, 23 might to the potential 6, 8, 15, 7, 15, 7, 20. Yeah, much more might. And Mark is packing it up, doesn't want to do the math, doesn't want to watch Sebastian do the math for another minute, and says, you know what, you got it. I can see the might on board. As I was counting, I did notice that's a lot of might, and Sebastian takes it down. That's one of the things. You know, I really do downplay the mid-range Draven deck a lot, but if there is a deck that is broken going first, it is this mid-range Draven deck, because at every single curve, every single juncture, has a great card on curve. And Sebastian was able to just basically use that treasure hunter to get an early mana advantage and run away with it because his card quality was so high, while Mark was kind of just dirtling around trying to draw two. Sebastian set up a big lead. Mark almost had a miracle turn where he almost took back the initiative, but Sebastian was able to play it slow, and off the back of double spinning axes, it was a huge, huge turn for Sebastian.
It feels bad to think about it like this, but I think the game was so skewed in Sebastian's favor after he got the 1 gold off the treasure hunter and only had to recycle 1 mana for the falling star to kill the Draven, and that was Mark's only unit. And killing that and setting up that point tempo on mid-range Draven is what you want to do.
That treasure hunter got 3 gold gears. That is literally 3 un-D ramps, and that is absurd in the Draven deck, because when you start casting 2 cards in the Draven deck a turn, it's 2 nasty cards. Just want to say thank you to all our watchers here, all 37 people. If you don't know who we are, my name is Ed, and I am joined with Michael. We have a YouTube channel called Conquer and Hold. We upload all the VODs, and we started to upload some deck lists up in the future. If you are interested in our videos, last week we featured a guy named Steven who had a awesome mono purple control MF deck. We are going to upload that video later tonight or tomorrow pretty soon. So if you guys are into that, come check it out. And if you guys are in Las Vegas, we have our honestly, if you guys are in Las Vegas, every single local in Vegas is great. We have a lot of players almost every single time. But if you want to come check out our local, the People's Card Shop, it is here in Vegas. So come check it out. We have locals every Monday and Saturday. So it's going to be awesome to come out. Maybe say, hey, what's up to us? Who knows? Ooh, Veiled Temple. Big fan of that. I think it's called Veiled Temple. Not 100% sure the actual name. But basically what that card does, if you guys are interested, is if you conquer that battlefield, it is Veiled Temple. I'm nice with it. When you conquer here, you may ready a friendly gear. If it's an equipment, you may detach it. So it has some tricky stuff with the uses of seal, but also does some real fancy stuff if there is last rites involved. Being able to get multiple triggers off that last rites and moving around some of these things. Big fan of the Veiled Temple.
It's such a strange one, though, but it is really cool.
Yeah. Also, because sometimes they do play Pack of Wonders in the side deck also. And then also because they have stuff like just seals in general. Getting multiple uses out of your gears is something that is very powerful. And oftentimes you don't want to play a battlefield that your opponent can super abuse. And Veiled Temple is a very niche one. So no early drop from Sebastian here is definitely a sign of weak. Oh, my bad. I saw 4 mana and I immediately assumed Sebastian skipped. But actually, sign of strength, Sebastian gets to just slam down this Draven turn 1. That's one of the best parts about Obelisk of Power. Both players get to start off with an extra rune, but Sebastian gets to go second, so he gets to drop a 4 mana card immediately on turn 2. Mark here activating stacked deck to start off his turn with 4 mana. Mark has a lot of things. He might be able to develop his Draven champion unit, or he could potentially try to set up a bigger and bigger miracle turn. But let's find this out. I can see here that Mark has a seal in hand, so that Miracle turn will be popping off. That has an extra card, but choosing not to use it on the Miracle turn, wants to get advantage out of it right now. But how is he going to use it? That's really interesting. He played the seals without using it. He might have something like a called shot, but a called shot for 0 is not necessarily what you want. So I'm really surprised that he used that seal this turn. Oftentimes, when I talk to Miracle and I play Miracle myself, we want to save seals for the big turns because it adds basically, it has an extra effect of being -1 on something like a battering ram. We should have done that in orange. But here we go. Mark with 5 mana available as seals and a treasure trove. Can he pop off this turn? Ezreal as his first play, discarding a detonate. Interesting, he doesn't want to use the detonate on the Pack of Wonders. I mean, the treasure trove. Maybe he already has a copy. And like I said, he does have an extra copy. You guys like Pot of Greed, but this is better than Pot of Greed. This is draw 3 here.
Those of you who don't know what Detonate does, kill a gear, draw 2 cards. It's pretty good because you can kill your opponent's stuff, but mainly you want to kill yours. And when you combo with the pack, I mean, that one's the treasure trove. When you combo with the trove draws a card and ramps you. So you de-ramp 1 for Detonate, but then you ramp 1 anyway, so it doesn't matter. So it's 1 mana, draw 3, which is really cool. And it has utility in a lot of matchups that you could, like, kill specific gears that are very important to your opponent's game plan.
And a traveling merchant from Mark here. Tide Turner is able to hold right now. So this is going to be a little bit of a point lead for Sebastian, 3-0. But just like we saw last game, Mark is able to use these big explosive turns to make up for this lack of points in the early game. Sebastian trying to figure it out here. The thing with it is because Sebastian is trying to be the aggressor, he just can't overextend and get blown out because over the course of the game, Mark's deck is most likely more powerful. Sebastian has to leverage these point leads for the win here. But let's see what Mark does. Mark has a huge amount of cards in hand, and he gets to start off with 2 enablers. He gets to start off with a traveling merchant being able to filter out his deck by moving, but also the Ezreal to reduce costs of his repeats. But here we go, a stacked deck from Mark, being able to look at 3 cards here, trying to figure out, is he able to break the double zealous, overzealous fan plus a Draven? And one of the most ubiquitous combos for this purple combination, having Ezreal plus Called Shot. Called Shot normally gets to look at the top 2 cards and picks one and has repeat, but because of Ezreal reducing the cost of the repeat, he gets to draw an extra card, and the Traveling Merchant coming up into the other battlefield, scoring a point, but using its move trigger to discard a scrap heap to essentially draw more cards. Mark next turn, or potentially this turn, can pop off with large amounts of might. He's essentially drawn like 3 cards this turn.
And a really cool thing about the Miracle deck is now that you run the Detonate in the main, it does synergize heavily. It's that second way to kill the scrap heap, because you can play the scrap heap, then pop it for the draw two, which is cool, or you can discard it. There's a lot of things you can do.
Yep. And a
Bushwhack.
Bushwhack, one of the most powerful cards for these Miracle decks. Oftentimes, these Miracle decks kind of don't do anything for a little while, but they are activated by Bushwhack. If you don't know what Bushwhack does, it is a 2 energy spell with 1 red power, and all of Mark's units get to come into play ready. It is literally the linchpin of these red-purple decks. Oftentimes, they don't get to use accelerated cards effectively because they're just not that powerful. They need to have cards in their deck that kind of accelerate themselves and draw as much as possible, and they get to use this Rasa now instead of as this big towering unit. It gets to rush in for 6 might here and 9 might into the Draven. So just so everyone knows, Sebastian already wins this combat here. But if he chooses to have this fight go down, he basically loses double Zealous Fan, or even worse, Mark chooses to let these Zealous Fans live, and then kill off the Draven. But Sebastian using the ability of Overzealous Fan to basically eat up this Ezreal. Mark probably going to use this fight or flight to push back.
Does he have a spinning axe in his hand?
He does have a spinning axe, yeah. Oftentimes, a lot of Draven decks either have a Miracle Draven has a fun of copy of Spinning Axe as this, like, you have to respect it, or sometimes they side it in matchups where the battle matters.
I really love pushing it back so that we get the draw here.
I believe that is against the odds.
Get +1 for all of your opponent's units, so it's going to make it equal to the Ezreal.
Oh, I'm so nice with it. It is against the odds. That is actually
it's +2.
Yeah, it is actually one of the best cards against Miracle, because oftentimes this mid-range deck kind of plays this middling game and then kind of has to wait for them to set up a big Miracle turn, and once they do that, you can have against the odds to break that turn.
Honestly, I don't know if I like blowing it right now, because against the odds is so crazy.
So powerful against his board. But honestly, if Sebastian has another copy of Against the Odds here, it is actually just a death sentence. But let's see what Sebastian has.
Because it's 2 mana +4 might, which is utterly ridiculous.
Ridiculous stat line. And I don't think he has it here. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, I don't think he has it here, because if he did have it, he would have used it with the Draven. So 12 might on board on the Veiled Temple. What is Sebastian going to do here?
Hard bargain in hand. I think that's a stacked deck.
Man, Sebastian might have really benefited from just saving this against the odds here. I swore he could have had another one. And a Ferris Forerunner to develop the board here. So just so everyone knows, that's 12 might showing with the Draven unit ability.
And we got Fight or Flight in our hand as well.
So oftentimes against these Miracle decks, you kind of concede one battlefield until you can figure out how to get rid of it. So as long as you have this point total above your opponent, then Sebastian isn't worried. It's only when Mark starts fighting over this other battlefield will Sebastian really be in dire straits here.
That's why I kind of like keeping the Against the Odds.
Yeah, I do too. I really like it.
You did bait out the Spinning Axe. Like, it's like if he didn't have the Spinning Axe, you kill the Ez and you draw an additional card, which I really like. So he had to have the Spinning Axe or Fight or Flight of his own, which if he Fight or Flighted your guy, you keep him for later, which is cool. So I don't mind it, because it was like, it draws you a card most of the time or baits out a Fight or Flight. The Axe was the worst punish.
And Detonate plus Treasure Trove at 3 mana draw 3 is so powerful here. But it is only powerful if you can convert those cards in your hand to real-world objectives here. So if Mark can convert it into points or into just more units on the board, then drawing 3 is so strong. But oftentimes, I see Miracle decks drawing 6-7 cards in a turn and sometimes not making the biggest possible board you can.
It's a 3 count for Battering Ram.
For Battering Ram, it's so strong.
I remember when it was reveal season, I saw a battering ram. I'm like, oh, it's impossible to do. That shit is not even that good. And then it's like the best card in
ever.
the game. Well, not
You
the
were
best card, but like in conjunction with like
Yeah.
Rasa and this package, it's like it is one of the best cards in its archetype.
You weren't a big believer in a lot of the big dream cards where it was just like,
Not
hey,
for dreaming too big.
No,
I wasn't dreaming big enough.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And here we go, a rebuke on Mark's side, discounted from this double seal here. Sebastian has a hard bargain of his own, but Mark can pay it off, and it looks like rebuke is what he wants. Sebastian really in the tank here, trying to figure out what to do. And it's going to be a fight or flight.
I like rebuking a fighter fighting our own guy.
It's still cool because it's still 6-6 here. And a spinning axe. What is Mark going to have here?
His own fighter flight is what he has to have. There's no way he has a second spinning axe.
Oh, a second rebuke.
That wasn't very likely to happen, but he did draw a lot of cards, actually, so maybe it was. And get our own fighter flight down.
And this is where Miracle is at its strongest, being able to just, not even at its strongest. My favorite part about Miracle is that it uses the hidden mechanic so good. It is able to set up these big fat boards, and then now it pressures you. It asks you this question: do you think it's a fight or flight or not? And it really messes up the combat math.
Just be a random pushback for no reason.
Yeah, it really could. I've seen people do that. And last game, Sebastian had like a 6-2 lead on Mark, and Mark was really, really, really having a tough time here. But now the shoe's on the other foot. Sebastian is now no longer the aggressor here, and that's not where Draven wants to be. So let's see if he's able to scrounge up these last 4 points here. There's an easy point up top with the Veiled Temple, but what else can Sebastian do here? Sebastian running up into the Rasa here. A fight or flight is most likely going to push this Ferris Forerunner back.
So what does he want to kill? Do you ever just kill the Tide Turner?
And then keep the Ferris Forerunner up? No, I think you kill the Ferris Forerunner because you guarantee to just kill the Tide Turner. Not guarantee to kill the Tide Turner.
Yeah. No, you're right. Then you can kill the Tide Turner later. I guess if you had Rebuke, there'd be a reason not to do it. But he already used 2 Rebukes.
Yep. Drawing off that combat, we can see a Thermo Beam in Sebastian's hand. That is a gnarly card. But the issue is Thermo Beam is real good when you're up. But when you're down, Thermo Beam sometimes is not where you want to be. And it looks like Sebastian is going to go ahead and cast that heavy storm, if you will, clearing off 3 seals. The issue with it is Mark already is kind of happy with the board he has here. He got the most out of his seals currently.
Yeah, I don't know how much I like that Thermal Beam. He does have to pay for everything he does now, though.
But Mark is already up. That's the biggest problem here.
Ooh,
Ooh.
man, that's really bad.
And it looks like it is going to be a game 3 here. Mark basically shores it up. Honestly, if Mark just has some type of creature in the backfield, like 2 more creatures, he has it locked up. But honestly, he doesn't even need it right now because Sebastian has to clear both of these. But if there is ever a deck to go ahead and do it, it is Midrange Draven.
Does he have?
Oh, but I think that's too much might now.
I think I saw a downwell in his hand.
Oh, there you go. Already. And hallelujah, hallelujah. That is the miracle turn for Mark. Literally summoning over 15 might in one go. 15, 13 might, 13, 14 might. Not even 15.
I think I did saw. Is that? That's not bad.
And that is it. It is going to go to game 3. The Miracle deck takes it down with an onslaught of just seal after seal into just multiple cards and huge threats. Sebastian gets to go first, and that's what I said, that the best part about playing this mid-range Draven deck is it is really obnoxious going first, being able to just curve out with efficient threat after efficient threat. Going second, it isn't as good, and that's maybe the reason why Mark was able to set up a huge offense here, but let's find out.
I think the thermo beam just put him so. I think the game was over even
before the
before the thermo beam didn't really matter. But I think that thermo beam, if he had like units in his hand to like pressure, but it's like Mark was so like dominant on the board at that point that it was just really hard to come back.
I really think targeted gear removal, even though on paper it looks so good versus Draven, because look, you hit seal, oh, you hit spinning axe. But oftentimes these Draven decks don't start up that fast. So instead of holding these removal spells for their gear, oftentimes I think it's better just to fight and try to kill them.
Yeah, I think like Pit Pocket is one of the really good cards into Draven because it develops a guy and kills the gear at the same time.
Yeah, you can literally just summon it and it's part of your game plan. But holding up 5 mana for something like a Thermo Beam, that's a real foolhardy decision where it's like you could just be developing your board, and I'm much more about that. Just want to say thank you to all our watchers here. If you are new to this, we are Conquer and Hold. We have a YouTube channel, and we stream every 6:30 on Mondays at the People's Card Shop. Come check out our VODs on our YouTube channel. We also have deck lists. If you watched this last week or you watched one of our biggest hit YouTube videos, Steven Suggett's Mono Purple Misfortune deck, we will upload that video either tonight or tomorrow. And it is going to go to that all-important Game 3. I almost did what is it called? Did you watch, what's that guy's YouTube channel for Yu-Gi-Oh? Vexicus, not Vexicus, Lithium?
I did not.
What? Oh, man, I used to love him. He would always say, the all-important Game 3. And you'd always say it like that.
Because it's an important Game 3.
It is an important Game 3.
You know what I'll do? I'm going to do this. Bam.
What did you do? Oh, now it moves.
Now we know it's serious.
This is our version of Silver Scrapes, everyone. All right, it's Game 3. It is going to be Targon's Peak, and it's going to be Obelisk of Power for Mark. We saw the power of Obelisk of Power in this Draven deck. Even if it's not for the mid-range deck or for the Miracle deck, being able to summon Draven on turn 1, never being able to miss your turn 1 play is such a powerful thing to have. And Targon's Peak is one of the premier cards in this mid-range deck. How I often said, it's real annoying when Draven gets to go first. It's annoying because they get to have the first creature on board, and they get to have 2 mana up on the next turn. Imagine if you get to do that immediately, so you have something like Hard Bargain available, or have something like a Spinning Axe available immediately. Ooh, but Sebastian missing his turn 1. This is not where you want to be, and Mark gets to play his Draven turn 1. Basically gets to say he gets to go first.
That's really bad and unfortunate.
We can see a switcheroo in Sebastian's hand. Switcheroo is great in conjunction with his little creatures being able to eat up something, but is going to play a Kaisa unaccelerated here. Again, I always say it, at the beginning of the game, you don't want to deramp. You want to give yourself the most amount of mana as possible. So I like that play from Sebastian, whether it be summon the Draven or summon the Kaisa. Not deramping yourself is so pivotal on this turn 2. All right, here is a seal from Mark, being able to float a mana. And called shot repeated, having 2 floating mana, or 3 floating mana.
Where's the third floating mana coming from?
Well, oh no, never mind. He's counting spells, not.
Oh, okay,
not
okay. I saw the dice too, so I was also confused.
Yeah, I thought it was 2 floating mana at first, but yeah, oftentimes what this Draven deck wants to do is to play a bunch of spells in tandem with each other to get the cheapest version of this battering ram out. For every card you play, battering ram becomes 1 less. And here we go. The Draven gets to conquer this Targon's Peak, and that doesn't look like that much of a scary thing, but now Mark gets to basically play out his entire hand and gets to untap 2, and untap 2 is so powerful in Draven because of something like Spinning Axe or Hard Bargain being available.
And a double battering ram.
A double battering ram is so strong here. Oftentimes we say that this mid-range deck wants to play a fair game, but if you're summoning 10 might on turn basically 2, it's a real scary proposition. If Sebastian is able to basically fight off this board and retake back this Targon's Peak, I think that is going to be a huge turn for him here. But that is a huge proposition asking that off Sebastian, because with 4 mana up, Mark has access to something like a Fight or Flight or something like a Spinning Axe.
Gonna play a Falling Star. We have this DRAM too. This is a really hard turn for Sebastian. Mark has 4 mana up right now. Yeah, push in our Kaisa, draw our card off of our Conquer. Let's see what we have to work with before we actually commit any more to our mana here.
That's one of the things against the Miracle deck is sometimes you don't need to necessarily crack the Miracle's board. You can just slowly whittle it down with removal spells to try to set up for a big push here. And that's what Sebastian is doing here with that Falling Star, and not necessarily fighting over that battlefield. In these Draven matchups, you kind of have to bide your time, because if you kind of just overextend and summon creatures onto the board, you have the potential of just getting blown out, because every combat 1 is just another hole dug to where you get to just draw extra cards. And a seal from Mark being paid off for the first seal, being able to play this Ezreal, discarding a Traveling Merchant with 3 mana up. Mark has a lot of different options here. I wonder what he is going to play here, and it is going to be a Treasure Trove. Is he going to have a Detonate to combo with it to draw 3 cards? That's the thing. Again and again, I keep saying it, that this mid-range Draven, this Miracle Draven deck has such a powerful late game. If it's able just to resolve some of these cards, I think
Did Mark not recycle one for the Detonate?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Twice ask.
Recycle for Detonate?
You want to go over, or you want me to go over?
Because he was at 4 last turn and went to 6, right?
Yeah, I think he tapped, but didn't recycle for detonate. I'm pretty sure that's what's happened. We're just going to go double check with the players just to make sure. Yeah, he didn't recycle for detonate. These games are intense. You just forget sometimes when you're in the middle of it. I think what he did is he tapped the mana, he went to detonate, and detonate, if you detonate, you get the rune back anyway. So he was just kind of expecting to get a rune back, but when it was countered, he was like, oh, okay. But then he just forgot to recycle the rune.
Yep.
Understandable, but you want to make sure that we're all
Just, yeah,
following
all
through.
caught up. And then it's just showing the power that sometimes you don't want your opponent to draw 3.
Yeah.
It's real scary here because Sebastian needs to get the point lead. Like, Sebastian can't just be playing a one-for-one tit-for-tat game with Mark's deck because Mark's deck is just not necessarily more powerful, but it just has a higher end game than what Sebastian is trying to do. So just off the rip here, Mark has 11, 14 might showing on board to the 8 of Sebastian. With Sebastian's set card, it can be a fight or flight, which potentially removes 6 might off the board already. But what will Mark do to kind of navigate this? And here we go. One of the worst things you can do, one of the worst things that can happen when you're turtling up against this Draven deck is the activation of a called shot, being able to essentially Pot of Greed. So maybe if Mark didn't have an answer now, Mark is 4 cards deeper and potentially has even more things to do for Sebastian. With 5 mana up, let's see what Mark does. Choosing to pop off this treasure trove with a seal. Treasure trove actually becomes a net positive where you get a rune out of it. So really good stuff, really showing the power of basically just runes seals in general. Being able to turn a card that is not necessarily the best card into a net positive. And the Ezreal coming up to score a point, going up to 3 in the Targon's Peak. More importantly, because Targon's Peak has been conquered, Mark will have 2 mana to have up. We can see him hovering a Falling Star here, but what is going to be his target?
Ooh,
but we can see a Bushwhack putting back 1, getting a Gold Gear. But also, now for the rest of the turn, Mark's units get to come into play ready. Pseudo accelerate.
He played Called Shot, Bushwhack, so he's at 2 right now.
2. So right now, the Battering Ram is going to go ahead and be at 3, but we're not looking for Battering Ram. I think we're looking for Rosses because they're basically just essentially just 0 mana, 6 cannonballs for Mark. But let's see what he has here. It looked real innocuous, but honestly, Sebastian negating this detonate didn't give Mark a huge hand. Mark only has maybe like 5 cards. Even though 5 is a lot, we're used to these Draven decks having just books in hand. Mark just thinking his plays through. When you get to these junctures, you want to make sure to not misplay, but we are going down 2 mana with the Falling Star. Most likely going to pop off. What are you going to pop off? That's the real question. Probably this double Kaisa here. Yep. Choosing to deal 6 damage to this Kaisa. Having this this Rasa in, and we're rumbling into battle. That's going to be 6, 6, 12, 17 might if we use the ability. But, oh, notice, we don't have red runes available, so this Draven will not get the pump. So it is going to be a clean 15 to the 4 of Sebastian. The thing about it is I think Sebastian has a switcheroo here because that's the main reason why he's questioning it. Because if it's a fight or flight, you obviously just fight or flight your own. And it is a switcheroo, choosing to basically trade with one of these units.
Now I wish that treasure
Treasure Hunter
was in
on
the battlefield.
Yep.
Ooh,
and a spinning
I
axe.
think he has Call the Glory in his hand.
Yeah, he has against the odds in his
Against the
hand.
odds.
And Is he going to do it?
He does have against the odds.
But will Mark have the hard bargain? There is 2 mana up. What will he do here? And a spinning axe of his own.
So 4, 7, 13, no 12, and then 16.
It's 13 for the. Oh no, it's not 13, huh? Because it's only +2. Yeah, it's still gonna be a win though. So it's gonna be a battering ram conquering. More importantly, drawing a card, moving closer and closer to the 6-point juncture that Mark needs to hit. And my favorite part about this spinning axe is it falls off, but when it's your turn, you're able to at least juggle it just a little bit, moving it over to the Ezreal, making it even harder for Sebastian to kill this Ezreal. Sebastian only having 2 cards in hand left.
If we hid the switcheroo, I think it was better to play the 2-drop inside of the battlefield. That would have definitely saved us that combat. But we do also want stuff in the background in order to move around on our next turn.
Yeah, but that's one of the things with this game is you have to just kind of try to predict what your opponent is doing here. Ooh, and a rebuke to bounce the Ezreal. Even though that's not necessarily the best target for rebuke because Mark can summon it again. Sebastian just needs to get any semblance of points here, and he's running it up with this Darius.
Oh, no response there for the Darius run-up is really good for Sebastian.
And
if there was a fight or flight, it might have been too hard to come back.
And this is too scary now for Mark. Mark looked like he had it basically on lock. But what often happens is this Miracle deck reduces down to barely any mana. And now he needs to have another turn to set up. So basically, Sebastian gets 4 points for free.
Yeah, going to 4-6 and pull back and then go for just a double conquer might be the play.
Yeah. Mark is desperately drawing here. If I was Mark, I need another bushwhack.
Yeah, because I don't want to lose to a random bushwhack a million people. So you might want to pull back after the hold.
Yeah, for sure, pull back on the hold and then just try to set up for next turn. The issue is Mark has the potential to just vomit out any more creatures.
He's shuffling. Is that a Mind Splitter? He's shuffling his hand so quick.
I believe that is a Noxus Hopeful, and I'm not sure what the other ones are. But if it is a Mind Splitter, it is not going to be good enough because we only have 6 mana. All right, we're going to see Draven and most likely a Noxus Hopeful here. I like this. I like this. So currently right now, Mark is not going to win the game off of this double conquer, and he has 6 cards in hand. Mark has to basically develop a huge fat board here because Sebastian has the potential of 11, 16, 20 might in one push here.
The thing that you do give your opponent by pulling back completely is the option to cheat out these hidden cards like double fight or flights and switcheroos for just power instead of mana. So Mark does have a lot of options for the follow-up turn because he can keep up 3 mana, Targon's Peak, get 5 mana up on next turn if he doesn't play anything else, and then he can use some stuff to hide cards away. So there's a lot of things that Mark could do during Sebastian's next turn. But Mark did already use the fight or flight. I'm not sure if he used 2. Did he use 1 or 2? Checking the grave. We can take a little peek with him. Yeah, I saw a fire flight in there. I think I saw 2.
And a detonate, you know Mark is hurting. He needs to figure out how to have this defense. He knows the line. He knows he needs to see at least a couple more hit-ins to try to cheat out this thing. But what's really important here is Mark did conquer, again, this Targon's Peak. So he'll be able to untap too.
Yeah, your runes don't matter at this point. You just recycle them all, do your 2 hit-ins, because if you hold here, you do win.
But Sebastian's deck is much better on the offense than it is on the defense. So let's see how Sebastian can do it. Also, Sebastian can just choose to only conquer 1 because it's not necessarily game if Mark holds the other. But right now, it is going to be 6, 12, 15 might to an 8 might up top
He
to
did
the
do
20 might showing on Sebastian's side.
He did do exactly what he needed to do.
So the real question is, how can Sebastian has so many little tricks that he has available to him. He has the Draven +2. He has the untap ability of this Darius. I wonder if he can use these to leverage, to a win here. Because Sebastian needs to get both of these battlefields off. If he only gets one off, then it's up to Mark to try to win the game next turn. But if Sebastian is able to knock down both of these battlefields, that is going to be the dub. It is going to be the 8 points. Let's see if he can figure out this Rubik's Cube.
Interesting.
So right now it is going to be 6, 10, 10, 11, 16 to the 9 might of Mark on the top. 8 of Mark on the top side. But we have to remember that Sebastian has the ability of Darius to untap himself. So that is just another combat trick here. So it's going to be 8. So it's going to be 5, 9, 10 to 8. So something like a spinning axe potentially could turn the tide of battle. But again, Sebastian has a huge amount of cards and a bevy of mana available. Let's see how Mark is able to traverse this. We can see a fight or flight here. The thing about it is the fight or flight can't be on the Darius because Darius has the ability to try to run up again. So it's going to be 6 to 8 here for Sebastian. The fight or flight has resolved, but is it going to... Ooh.
Oh, he didn't have a secondary card in his hand to ready the Darius? That was such a risky push if you didn't have anything to use.
Ooh.
Ah, he should have slammed the Mind Splitter before he did that.
Yeah, and that was
How much? 1, 2, 3, 4.
He had 9. Oh, no, he had
Damn.
he had 8.
Just
he had
enough. He doesn't have enough to do Darius.
8. Yeah, and that was it. The gambit of Mark played off. Basically deramping almost every single game, every game 2 and 3, he went down to 2. Game 2, he went down to 0 mana, and this gambit paid off for Mark. Is able to show the power of this Miracle deck, summoning a bunch of might in one turn, and that was a great match from both players.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that his hand was like no activatable cards at all.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to take a little break. We have 3 minutes in the round, so we'll be back in around maybe 8 minutes after pairings are done. Okay, we'll be back.
Thanks for coming.